Joining us today is Jimmy Thompson. Jimmy is the Senior Sales Manager at Podium. It's a platform that helps local home service companies manage reviews, messaging, and leads all in one place. Jimmy joined Podium in 2023 and worked closely with contractors across the country. Jimmy, thanks for coming on and sharing your insight today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve. Appreciate it.
Jimmy, let's just jump right into it. Obviously, my readers, plumbing contractors, they're in local markets that are highly competitive, to say the least. So tell me, what are some of the biggest marketing challenges that you see contractors facing today?
Yeah, it is a highly competitive area in the marketing space. I really look at it in three different buckets, I guess, of where the challenges originate from. One is really the return on investment. There's a lot of different ways to spend your money in the marketing space for traditional print ads or billboards or radio, TV, whatever it is, and then flyers, and it goes down the line. But being certain that you can convert those into paying customers is really important. I'm sure we'll get into that and where Podium plays a role there. The other part I think is a challenge, and where I think from our approach we can really help out is just a lack of expertise in the home services space. There's so many people that operate businesses, own businesses that are true experts and exceptional in what they do in the field for their customers. Marketing is a whole nother beast to take on, become an expert on. And then the other part is just so many options. There's businesses calling these contractors every single day, 10, 15, 20 times a day, probably, to ask them to sign up for their services. So how do you really evaluate that? That's what I see as the challenges as far as, what are the solutions at Podium. We believe that AI plays a big role. We'll get into that here momentarily, but AI plays a big role in being efficient with what you spend and making it really easy for the customers to implement.
Yeah, well, let's get into it then. Podium just crossed 100 million in AI agent revenue, and I guess we could call Podium an AI employee, right?
Yeah.
So for contractors listening today, they're answering their own phones by and large. How does an AI employee, quote unquote, actually function day to day?
Yeah. So usually when I present at a trade show or an event, or even just talk to our contractors we're working with, the feedback, which I appreciate, is that we make it really simple, or I delivered it really simple. So I'll try to stick to keeping it pretty simplistic here. But
Mhm.
day to day, the goal of our AI employee, so we name them. Steve, you're going to hear me interchange. Jessica, that's our voice AI
Yeah.
employee. She'll answer all the phones. And then Larry, he handles all the digital leads that come into the business. So Jessica and Larry, it really is as simple as they will answer every phone call that comes into the business. And they will respond to every lead that comes into the business from a third party, social media, web chat, text message, whatever that case may be, within 60 seconds. There's no breaks. There's no time off. There's no smoke breaks. There's no, taking time off, long weekend, anything like that. They're working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, what they do in their free time, I couldn't tell you. That probably a good question for our engineers, but from day to day, that's what they focus on. And that focus comes down to qualifying every single lead to make sure that they're a homeowner, they can make a purchasing decision on the property. We want to qualify to make sure they're in the service radius that the contractor covers, and that they're requesting a service that is inside of the service offerings of that contractor as well, to qualify them and ultimately work that to a point where they're booked on your calendar for an opportunity to go out to that customer's home.
Good. Well, I guess my next question might be for Jessica, because missed calls, are a very common issue. So I'm guessing during a busy time, when the phones are ringing, Jessica is the one that answers the phone call. I guess, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about how that helps contractors not lose those calls and lose those potential jobs.
Yeah, and traditionally, as your listeners know, the ways to answer after hours and weekend calls specifically is to hire an answering service, to have somebody carry the pager phone. There's plenty of holes in those processes, and obviously, like you have an answering service that's probably answering for some of your competitors in that space as well. Not to mention people that aren't in like the heating and air space, so they're not maybe as well as an expert as they need to be carrying the pager phone around. I love to make the point of, like, our intention with this is like, maybe you get some free time back in your day. Now, I'm not talking middle of July, you get a lot of free time, but if we can provide these business owners and operators a little bit more of a break, or of some time to separate, the longevity in the industry is likely extended, and they can take have a little bit of free time to recharge the batteries. But ultimately, What that means is we can have Jessica answer the phone as the first point of contact. She can be a fallback. So if the phone rings 3, 4, 5 times, then it kicks over. I say 5 times, and I can feel a lot of contractors prickle up a little bit. Like, we're not getting 5 rings with the customer to answer their call. So, after a third ring, then maybe Jessica picks it up during the busy time. It can default to her for after hours and weekends. And ultimately, like I said, her intention is to qualify that lead to make sure that they're a qualified buyer, and ultimately work to get them onto the calendar regardless of what they're asking. This is going to go for not just new customers, but she can reference the database for information on current customers if they're calling to update, change, cancel an appointment. If they have a question about their maintenance agreement, we're able to handle all that breadth of calls that might be coming into the business.
That's Jessica and phone calls, answering calls. Help me understand. It's Larry.
Yep, Larry. Yep.
Where does Larry come into play then?
Yeah, so Larry is the other, what you can estimate is probably anywhere, depending on the business model, anywhere 30 to 40% of the leads that come in. Now, this is where we think about our paid third-party leads that are out there. You might pay to acquire per lead basis. This can also include, we have a web chat tool. A lot of businesses have a web chat or a contact us form on the website. All those leads will funnel in there as well. And then the one that's really been popular here since we rolled it out about, let's say, 18 months ago, is the ability to pull Facebook messages, and that seems to be really big in the heating and air space. Pulling Facebook and Instagram messages directly into the platform as well, and where all those leads are consolidated. That's where Larry will go and send out that text message. So as long as there's a cell phone included in that lead, he's able to send an initial text message response and start that conversation via text. And what we've learned over the last 3, 4, 5 years is that as we get a younger generation of home buyers, we see people that are making these type of purchasing decisions that prefer text message. They would actually prefer not to call a business, but a lot of times they do because they're not aware they can text the business. But then even beyond that first contact point, about half of them are preferring to have the follow-up via text message. So we want to make sure you're communicating with your customers where they prefer. And I mentioned the new generation of home buyers. I talk to my dad about this all the time. He's 64 years old, and he prefers to have text message conversations as well. So it's not just that newer generation of home buyers. It's just communicating with your customers where they want to be communicated with. And Larry does a fantastic job of that. And you really can't beat the under 60 seconds speed to lead. Even if you're able to do that during business hours, the after hours and weekend responsiveness of that is really industry leading.
So now my next question, is I guess both for Jessica and Larry. I mean, I think a lot of people listening to this might think, oh, Jessica and Larry sound very helpful, but they're going to sound like robots. So what's your take on that? How does it work with contracting companies, and how does Jessica and Larry not sound so robotic, I guess?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's probably it's funny that we've been talking for 5 minutes and it's the first time it came up. Usually that's the first question I get, right? Is like, how I don't want to have a robot representing my business. I lean with this. We're never trying to fool anyone. I don't think adding an AI employee into your business is to try to dupe any of your customers. I think that's where you get some frustration. If it was my business, I would actually add the talk track when they answer the phone. Like, if it's Jessica working for my business, it'd be, "Hi, this is Jessica with Jimmy's Heating and Air. I'm an I'm an AI assistant with Jimmy's Heating and Air," with something like that. Just let's throw all our cards on the table. Most of the time, your customer is going to be like, "Okay, cool. I get it. You guys are busy. I'm calling you at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Like, this is what we're doing." There's also this kind of training, if you will, of your customers that's happening, and they're being acclimated to AI outside of your business. I'm thinking about airlines, cell phone plans. A lot of these places that they message in now are operating on AI. So your business wouldn't be the first one they talk to that has been like that, which, for good or bad, it is helping us in this case. Now, as far as the robotic piece, what I think people just have to hear it for themselves. How does it feel? What does it sound like? Again, not trying to dupe anybody, but most of your customers are calling because they have a problem that they need solved. And as somebody who has had pretty significant HVAC work done on their house in the last year, when I called that business, I had a problem that I need solved. I didn't really care who answered. And I feel like sometimes from a contractor's perspective, it's more of, "Hey, I think that my customers need to hear this." I'd ask your customers and let them call in. And if you can solve their problem, regardless of how it's being communicated, I think that's a win. And that's where you earn that business, is responding to them really quickly. The other thing is AI is evolving so quickly. It's probably definitely in our lifetimes. It's the fastest evolving technology that we've ever seen. At Podium, we have over 150 dedicated engineers that work in-house to make sure this product is A plus every single day. And
Hmm.
our evolution is keeping up with the industry. So, as we've evolved and made it sound better and better, I'd even say where we came from 3 years ago is a night and day difference. You wouldn't even recognize it. So, yeah, I guess to summarize my long-winded answer there, you got to hear it for yourself. And
Yeah.
let's just be honest and let them know why you have AI helping out your business anyway. I think a lot of people would appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, and I have heard some of these myself, and they don't sound that robotic, to
Mhm.
be honest. And until I talked to you about this, I never really thought they could have Jessica say that she's an AI employee. I always thought, no, they just you are kind of trying to fool people, I guess, with this voice. But you can actually, you can say, I guess you can just say, hey, I'm Jessica, but you can also make mention that she's an AI assistant and helping you solve your problems right now.
Yeah, and that's always my preference on it. So I'm obviously biased. I talk about Podium AI every single day, and I've see it work for customers.
Mhm.
But I will say one of the things that's truly a differentiator for us is how customizable our AI is. So we actually have what we call AI Studio. So in the vein of changing how she greets people on the phone, we can give immediate feedback to our AI, to both Jessica and Larry, where we can tell them, hey, when you answer the phone, I want you to say howdy, or it's a great day to stay cool, or whatever more clever tagline people would have than I have. You can update the closing. You really can put your stamp of what your brand is on this. And that coaching is immediate and direct. Just like you're using a chat GPT or you're sending a text message to a friend, you just tell them in very plain English, this is what I want you to do, and immediately they'll start implementing that. And that's where you can not only stamp it with your brand a little bit, but you get this really, really easy to use, really, really reactive coaching tool where you tell them, hey, I want you to say this, I want you to do this. And they immediately do it without any ramp up. We all have employees that we've hired where it's like, hey, do this. And then it takes them a little bit to figure it out, need a couple of conversations. That's not the case with our AI, where you can go in and we're essentially building a playbook through coaching feedback on conversations. And you can make those adjustments on the fly, which is really powerful because AI shouldn't be something that takes a lot of knowledge about I should say, for the user to be able to use it at a high level.
Yeah. Well, it's very interesting. No, like I say, I have heard these and they don't sound that robotic, but until I talked to you today, I didn't really think you could have Jessica programmed to say howdy or hello or something like that. So you can really change the personality, I guess, of Jessica and Larry to match however you want them to sound like.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, regionally specific, I always think this industry is so unique in the sense that you're going to people's homes. There's like a certain level of empathy and understanding where, when it comes to some of the bigger ticket, I mean, we're selling pretty expensive products to people. I think there's a level of personality that still has to be included in there. And that's where our customers that are using it and giving daily feedback are seeing really, really good results with it.
Good. Now let's get down to brass tacks. Let's say I'm Steve's Plumbing. I have 5 trucks out on the road, and it's Saturday, so ideally, I guess everyone's at home. Walk us through what would happen then if someone calls at, say, I don't know, 9 p.m.
Yeah, so again, this is going to be customizable from really what Steve's Plumbing wants it to happen with this, but let's under the assumption that they do take after hours emergency weekend calls,
Hmm.
the phone would ring, Jessica would pick it up. Let's stay with our training that we've done with Jessica here. She'd say, "Hey, I'm Jessica. I'm an AI assistant for Steve's Plumbing, Steve's Heating and Air, whatever it is. How can I help you?" And that's where the customer will say, "Hey, I have a problem with what you said plumbing, right? Like I have a problem with my water here." Say,
Hmm.
"Okay." And then we'll immediately go into this qualification process. Now, if this customer's called before, Jessica will be able to reference that and say, "Is this so and so? Is this still the best number to reach you? Are you still at this address?" But if it's a new customer, then we'll start to qualify that, gather that information. And then as far as Steve wants this to go, is how the outcome will be. So if he wants it to be we're going to qualify them and say, hey, our after hours weekend service fee is $299. That's our service call fee. Is that okay? Like we can start to qualify them based on that. And
Hmm.
as everybody in this industry knows, a lot of times that will be, well, this isn't that big an emergency. Just schedule me for Monday, schedule me for Tuesday. Jessica can handle that.
Right.
Now, if we need to push that out to an on-call technician and we've qualified that it is an emergency situation. All this conversation happening in probably what, 2 minutes, because there's no hemming and hawing around with it. Very direct to the point. We can push that out to a on-call technician that's customizable in there as well. And
Mhm.
the other question I get is, what if somebody calls and they identify that Jessica's AI and they don't like that, and they just say human? We'll forward it on to the human line. We'll set up all these customized routing in the onboarding process. So however Steve wants that process to go, we'll be able to support that one way or the other.
Good. Now this is a, technology, and some people are a little leery of that, but, tell me, if Steve's Plumbing, for example, signed up today with Podium, what would the learning curve be like? How quickly could I understand what I need to understand to do what I need to do with it?
Yeah, that's probably the part that with this whole push of AI, both the text and the voice, that's been the most successful with us is how detailed our onboarding process is.
Mhm.
So let's say we get Steve signed up today. Within 48 hours, we're going to schedule our first kickoff call, and that kickoff call is anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how much time you have available. We understand contractors are busy. This isn't something like sit down and it's a 4-hour training. We're going to work around their schedule, but
Mhm.
that first meeting is pretty heavy administrative. We'll ask them to bring some information like their Google My Business login, their website information, things that'll help us connect the account and get that built out. But we're also going to start filling out what we would call like our settings, our FAQs for the AI. And this is really the skeleton that the AI is going to be based off of. This is what Larry and Jessica will reference for basic information around service call pricing, certain service radiuses, and things of that nature. Now, depending on how prepared we are for that first meeting, we meaning contractor, right? How much information we bring in that first call, we could be testing AI by the end of that first call. Now, typically, we'll add some information. There'll be a little bit of homework after that. We'll have a meeting the following week, and we'll be able to have the AI up and running, both text and voice, in very short order. Typically, what we always do is we'll have a dedicated onboarding manager for the first 60 days. With weekly meetings, and then from there you get a dedicated customer success manager. So we do take that very seriously. And I kind of jokingly said about this before. I've learned a lot about AI in the past couple of years working at Podium, but it does not take somebody who's reading AI articles in their free time, catching up on the latest AI news to be able to operate this. Our onboarding team takes very good care to make sure that we walk through a lot of the workflows. Like you just gave me the example, what happens at 9 o'clock at night. Use those type of examples to build out exactly what we want to do. And then between our team and the contractor, we can give that immediate feedback and really coach the AI into a place that it's running like your all-star employee would be.
Good. So now if someone listening today does want to sign up for Podium, what do they need to do? What's the best way to get a hold of you guys?
I'd say just use me as a direct reference. We have 15 account executives that are on our team that cover the entirety of US and Canada that can take any business through a customized, tailored demo. Like I mentioned this at the beginning, I'll say it again. It's really important to assess and at least see these tools that are out there for your business. AI can be really exciting for some people, or it can be really scary for others. But there's going to be end up being a place in it for any business that's looking to be efficient. So the best thing you can do is just get on a demo and see what it's like. We do a Zoom screen share and just walk through exactly how this will work for your business. You can test out the text, you can test out the voice to see what it sounds like. But I'm sure you can attach my email to that. It's as simple as jimmy.thompson@podium.com. And I'd love to hear from anybody, simply questions that they have, or schedule a time with my team to talk through this in more detail.
Good. So that's Jimmy with a Y,
Yep.
Thompson with a TH,
Yep.
and at podium.com.
At podium.com. That's right, Steve.
Good. Okay. Well, thanks for coming on our podcast today. It's very good to hear what you have to tell everyone about. And I certainly look forward to seeing you down the road, like I said, at some trade shows maybe coming up.
That sounds great, Steve. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jimmy. Bye bye.